Picture thousands of Filipino flags flooding a New York street, all waving for one 21-year-old. That's exactly what greeted Eala the moment she landed for the US Open. Cameras simply couldn't keep up. Strangers screamed her name like she'd already won it. Nobody expected a welcome this massive, not even her own coach. So yes, that thumbnail wasn't exaggerating. This genuinely happened. Grab a seat because we're breaking down every unbelievable second of it, from the airport chaos to what's coming next at Ashe. Now drop a comment and tell us, which country are you watching from tonight? Alright, wherever you're tuning in from, welcome. You're about to understand exactly why that scene at the airport felt inevitable instead of surprising. Because this hasn't been a one-time thing. It's a pattern, and it's been building all year. Rewind to the Canadian Open in Toronto. Officials move Eala's opening match to center court, a spot usually reserved for the sport's biggest names. Why? Ticket demand made the decision for them. That night's session sold out completely, something that almost never happens for an early round. Fans packed every seat, waving flags, chanting her name between points. Toronto had never seen anything quite like it for a player still climbing the rankings. Then came the Australian Open earlier this year. Crowds grew so large around the outer courts that organizers struggled to manage the overflow. People climbed on fences. Others stood for hours, just hoping to catch a glimpse through a gap in the crowd. Security had to step in more than once. This wasn't a superstar drawing crowd. This was a 20-year-old playing early rounds, and somehow the demand rivaled a Grand Slam final. Washington told the same story, only bigger. Eala didn't just draw a crowd there. She won the whole tournament. Her title run turned casual fans into believers overnight, and it gave every Filipino watching around the world proof that this wasn't hype. It was real. Tennis was never exactly a national obsession back home. Basketball ruled the Philippines for generations. But Eala changed that conversation practically overnight. Filipino communities scattered across different countries started organizing watch parties. Some fans flew in from Canada, the Middle East, even nearby U.S. states, just to stand inside that crowd. This wasn't a home crowd in the usual sense. It was truly a global one, built around a single shared name. Think about what that means heading into New York. Every one of those moments, Toronto, Melbourne, Washington, happened before she ever touched a U.S. Open court. The largest tennis stadium on the planet, Ashe, was about to host someone who'd already outgrown most regular arenas. Her coach saw this coming from a mile away. Managing a schedule packed with title runs and instant travel isn't easy for anyone, let alone a player barely out of her teens. Still, she kept winning matches even under that pressure, proving her game could handle what her fanbase was throwing at her. Imagine that same energy landing in Flushing Meadows, inside a city that never runs out of noise. New York doesn't get impressed easily. It's seen legends walk through those gates for decades. Yet somehow, a young woman from the Philippines managed to turn heads before her first practice session even started. That's the real story behind this welcome. It didn't come out of nowhere. It came from months of sold-out sessions, overwhelmed security teams, and a fan base that refuses to stay quiet no matter which country hosts the tournament. New York was simply next in line. And once she walked into Ashe Stadium, you could tell why. This isn't some regular court. It's the largest tennis stadium on the planet, built to hold roughly 24,000 people, and she started training there almost a full week before the tournament even began. Every practice session turned into a mini-event. Phones went up. Whispers spread through the practice courts. Word travels fast when the player warming up used to be a junior champion, right there in that same building. Practice courts at the US Open usually stay quiet outside match days. Not this time. A small crowd already gathered just to watch her hit forehands during a routine drill, phones raised, voices hushed like they were watching something they weren't supposed to see yet. Rewind to 2022 for a second. Eala became the first Filipino woman ever to win a junior Grand Slam title, and she did it at this exact tournament. So walking back onto US Open grounds wasn't just business as usual. It was a return to the place where her whole story arguably began. Fast forward to last year's main draw. She beat Clara Tauson in 3 grueling sets, and that win marked her very first Grand Slam match victory at the senior level. It wasn't easy. She fought hard for every single point until she finally closed it out. She lost her next match to Christina Buxa, sure, but nobody remembers that part. What stuck was the breakthrough. Now she's back, ranked 20th in the world, with projections putting her close to an 18th seed once the draw locks in. That's not a small jump. It's a player entering a Grand Slam as a genuine threat instead of a hopeful underdog. Before we go further, if this story's got you hooked, hit subscribe right now. This channel breaks down everything happening around Alex Eala, match by match, moment by moment, and you don't want to miss what's coming once the tournament actually starts. Okay, back to the story. Her schedule in New York isn't just about the singles draw either. She's set to compete in mixed doubles starting August 25th, plus an exhibition match 2 days later. Every one of those appearances adds more chances for that Filipino crowd to show up and show out. Somewhere between the practice courts and the media rounds, you can feel the shift. This isn't a rising star hoping to make noise anymore. She's already made it. The only question left is how far this version of her can go on the biggest stage tennis has to offer. Coaches around the tour have noticed too. Players who once overlooked her now scout her matches closely, aware that whoever draws her early risks walking into a wall of pressure they didn't expect. None of this happened entirely by accident. Behind every packed practice court and every sold-out session sits a reason her own coach has been careful to explain, and it's not the reason most fans expect. Here it is. Coach Joan Bosch admitted, in his own words, that the crowd's love comes with a cost. Talking about Toronto, he said the court was full every single day she played, and for his coaching staff, that kind of attention is honestly a little scary. Not because the fans are doing anything wrong, quite the opposite. It's scary because it raises the bar every single time she steps on court. There's no room for an average performance anymore. Every match feels like a final. Think about what that actually means for a 21-year-old. Most players get to have a quiet off day once in a while, a match where nobody's watching too closely, where slow start doesn't turn into a headline. Eala doesn't get that luxury anymore. Thousands of people fly in, dress up in flags, skip work, just to watch her play a single match. If she loses early, it's not just her result, it's a whole community's disappointment. Her schedule hasn't made things easier either. After winning Washington, her team had to travel immediately, arriving with barely enough time to recover before the next tournament started. Jet lag, sore legs, an unfamiliar surface, none of that matters to a crowd expecting fireworks. Somehow, she still won her first 2 matches under those exact conditions. That's not luck. It's a competitor learning to perform through exhaustion because thousands of people made the trip specifically to see her win. This is the part most highlight reels skip. Everyone loves the flags, a chance, the sold-out sessions. Nobody talks about what it costs the player standing in the middle of all that noise. Bosch wasn't complaining when he used the word scary. He was being honest about a reality most 21-year-olds never have to face, performing under a magnifying glass every single time you compete, in every country, on every surface. And yet, she keeps delivering. Match after match, she finds a way to meet the moment instead of shrinking from it. That's the real headline behind this whole New York welcome. It was never just about flags and cheering crowds. It's about a young athlete carrying an entire nation's expectations onto the biggest stage in tennis, and somehow making it look almost natural. So when people say the crowd went wild for her arrival, understand what that energy really represents. It's not just excitement. There's pressure, hope, and history, all wrapped into one deafening welcome, and she's about to walk into Ashe carrying every bit of it. Opponents feel it too. Playing against Eala now means walking straight into a stadium that's already picked a side before the first serve. Every unforced error from the other side instantly gets a roar. Each point Eala wins turns into a wave of noise that can rattle even experienced pros. Some players later admitted the atmosphere changed how they approached basic decisions. That's the invisible cost of a welcome this loud. It overwhelms whoever stands across the net too. Finally, here's the real story behind this welcome. Pride, pressure, and history, all rolled into one moment in New York. Alex Eala earned every bit of it. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Her toughest tests start soon, and you won't want to miss it.